Good morning, sir.
Very good morning. Well, actually, due to some internet issues, I was trying from last half an hour to conduct the class. Anyhow, we got connected. Today, we shall be discussing about excretion of the drugs. Well, there are some 2 or 3 lectures left in pharmacokinetic section, and thereafter we'll try to have one test. So, in pharmacokinetics, till date, we have discussed absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion, and some other aspects we'll be discussing. So today we shall be discussing excretion of drugs. So briefly, without wasting time, I'm sharing my screen. Uh, okay, so regarding excretion of drugs, drugs or excretion, there are certain excretory routes you might have studied in veterinary physiology. That anything, please mute yourself. Wherever you have any doubt, then you can disturb me. Okay. So regarding excretion, you know that there are certain excretory routes by which different metabolites, endogenous metabolites, or any external molecule or chemical that you have taken, they are excreted out of the body. So uh, you know that out of different excretory routes, whatever drug you have taken, in whatever form or by whatever route, they are, if they are being absorbed, they have to be eliminated from the body, because drugs cannot stay at one point. They are moving in the body. They are getting absorbed, they are getting distributed parallel, they are getting metabolized by various enzymes, by different biochemical reactions, and at the same time there are different routes of excretion. You know that kidneys, they are the principal excretory organs, which filters blood, which are filtering blood continuously, 24 hour basis, without any stoppage. They are filtering the whole blood. And you have studied in physiology at length the mechanism or the physiology of nephron, physiology, how nephrons are working, what are the different parts of nephrons. So we'll be revising briefly, and we'll be discussing the applied portion, how drugs are excreted through kidneys. So drugs are eliminated from the body. Either you have studied that whatever drugs we are taking, all are not metabolized. Only there are certain drugs which are metabolized. Now I'll ask who can answer, what kind of drugs will be metabolized and which drug will not be metabolized.
So lipid soluble drugs are metabolized.
Okay, so for drug metabolism, we have studied that lipid soluble drugs, they are metabolized. And if any drug is not lipid soluble, then in that case, what happens? They are not metabolized. They are they are excreted in the parental form. They are excreted unchanged. So we have studied that now whether drug is metabolized or not, it has to be eliminated. So both forms, if it is unmetabolized, if it is already lipid soluble, it will be eliminated. If it is metabolized, if previously if it was lipid soluble and after metabolism it has been converted to lipid insoluble form, which is polar in nature, it will be excreted. So regarding renal excretion, you know that kidneys are the principal excretory organs, and majority of the drugs, they are excreted by this route. Kidneys, they are the main excretory organs, and renal excretion or excretion by kidneys, They are the most important mechanism. So unchanged drug, uh, there is one more data that unchanged drug or unmetabolized drug, uh, they are approx 25 to 30% of the drugs, they are eliminated unchanged or unmetabolized. So you can say that this is the percentage or amount of drugs which are polar in nature, which we are getting. And body takes some time to get things in polar form. Body takes some time to metabolize drugs. It's not an instantaneous reaction that you are taking and drugs are, will be metabolized instantaneously. So now substances excreted in apart from this renal metabolism or apart from metabolism by kidneys, there are some other routes also. Say for example, if you are taking anything by oral route and which is not getting absorbed, so what happens in that case? If it is not being absorbed, it will stay in your GI tract, and it will pass through your feces. So now this stool or feces is also the route of excretion of certain drugs which are not metabolized, or which are not absorbed by GI route. Plus, there are so many things which are excreted in the GI tract. Like bile is a very important thing. You know that bile salts, they are excreted in the duodenum, in the GI tract, and say for example the color of your stool. So this stercobilin, it is the metabolite of this these bile pigments, and they are being excreted in the urine and adding the color of the feces. So apart from that, a lot of drugs are being excreted in via bile, through bile. And why, where bile is going? Bile is being synthesized by the hepatocytes, by the liver cells, and it is being poured in the GI tract. And after that, the drug, if the drug is being excreted through bile, that means it will be going in the GI tract. And maybe if it is not lipid soluble, if it is a bulky drug, if it is not lipid soluble, in that case, what will happen? It will not be reabsorbed in the intestine, and it has to go out of the body through the stool. So in that case, stool or feces is also, or the biliary excretion or excretion through GI tract is also one important rule. Apart from that, your mammary tissues of animals or the human beings. So the excretion of the mammary tissue is the milk. So apart from milk, apart from urine and feces, drugs are also eliminated through milk. Now you must be knowing that if any mother, if any child who is wholly dependent on the mother's milk, and if mother is getting sick, the child also becomes sick. If the mother is having cough and cold, the child also have the same things. If the mother is taking any drug, the drug will be excreted in the milk and child will take the same. So mothers take the precaution during lactation. They avoid any kind of drug. If it is very much required, she will take additional care that during that period, some alternative feeding should be arranged. So what I want to say that milk is also a route by which drugs can be eliminated or excreted out of the body. And this milk, you know that it is having some lipids. Already this milk, if you take the urine is not having any lipid content. It is simply plain water and some other excretions. This feces is having a lot of things. This milk, if you see the composition of milk is having a lot of things, and it has lipids also. So it will favor solubilization of lipids. It will favor absorption of lipids. So some lipid soluble drugs may be excreted through milk. But what will happen if the drug is lipid soluble? It will be reabsorbed from the udder. So we'll discuss these things in detail later on. So apart from this mammary route, drugs can also be eliminated via our lungs. Say, for example, if you have taken any volatile anesthetic, say, for example, if any patient has been given what volatile anesthesia, volatile or inhalant anesthesia. Inhalant anesthetics, that means if a patient is being given inhalation and after 5 or 10 minutes of inhalation, the patient is being anesthetized. What happens that you are giving anesthetic agents in the vapor form through inhalation, and by the partial pressure of the gas of the vapor, because the inhalant anesthetics are being stored in some cylinders which are stored at very high pressure, and you are giving the gas at certain pressure by means of some regulators. You are regulating the pressure. So those inhalant anesthetics, they are getting absorbed in the lungs, and they are being getting absorbed in the your blood circulation, and through blood circulation they are moving to your brain tissue or your neurons, and anesthesia is being set. Now once you are removing the inhalation, what happens that again by the same mechanism, because initially what was happening that these inhalant anesthetics, they were given at positive pressure. The pressure in the cylinder, the pressure of the inhalant anesthetic in the cylinder was much higher, and the partial pressure of that inhalant anesthetic in your blood was very low. So there was a concentration gradient, or there was a gradient in the pressure. So due to that pressure, the inhalant anesthetic was getting absorbed in your blood and was moving from your blood to your central nervous system. Once you are removing the inhalant anesthesia, what happens? Reverse is being set. There is no pressure here, and the patient is expiring carbon dioxide, oxygen, and it will expire the inhalant anesthetics also. So again, from that, whatever inhalant anesthetic is being absorbed in the central nervous system, it will come back, it will diffuse back in the blood, and from blood through the lungs, it will get away from the body. And after some time, after half an hour, 1 hour, or whatever is the time of recovery of that particular anesthetic, the patient will come in normal. The anesthesia will go off. So what I want to say that lungs are also one route of excretion by which volatile drugs which have the tendency of volatility, only they can be excreted. If any drug is not volatile, it cannot be eliminated by lungs. Moving next, coming to now, we'll discuss because renal excretion is the most important, and majority of the drugs are being eliminated by this route. So we'll discuss this route in great detail. You know that for understanding the mechanism of renal excretion, we should understand the mechanism of nephrons, mechanism of physiology of, we should know, or we should revise the physiology of nephrons. Now you have seen that in nephrons, the component which is, the structure of nephron. I can show you. This is the one simplification. You can see that this part, this is a depiction. This is not a true diagram. This is a flow chart just to understand things. This part is showing, representing the glomerulus. This part is showing the glomerulus. Okay. And where what happens that afferent capillaries, they are coming, and it is going in the form of efferent form. So this is the efferent artery or arteriole, and this is the afferent which is coming. Afferent is the incoming arteriole, and efferent is the outgoing arteriole. So these arterioles now via these afferent arteriole, blood is coming and they're getting filtered, and the except some large coarse molecules and some very big molecules like plasma proteins and your cells and some others, everything is getting filtered, and it is coming in the form of ultrafiltrate. You know that it is ultrafiltrate, or you can write UF in short. So you know that in ultrafiltrate, everything is coming except your blood cells, except plasma proteins and certain other big, large macromolecular items, which are having which are having the size of its molecular size more than the size of the glomerular pores or the pore of the capillaries. Now you know that since all the water, everything is going in the ultrafiltrate, and if we are not taking back whatever monomers, amino acids, glucose, vitamins, all are getting in the ultrafiltrate. So they needs to be reabsorbed. Our kidneys are in the first part. Our kidneys are doing three important functions. Our our kidneys are doing absorption. Better we are saying at reabsorption, because it is first absorption was once we had taken that particular food or any molecule, it was in the GI tract, and in the second part it is being reabsorbed from the kidneys. So it is reabsorption. And coming back, I'm not discussing all these things, the physiology. Coming back to the drug side, because you know that reabsorption is also there. Majority of the water is being reabsorbed in the proximal convoluted tubule, and obviously the remaining is being reabsorbed in the loop of Henle. And so you know the major functions of PCT, loop of Henle, and DCT. Well, if we discuss the pharmacology of drugs, how drugs are being reabsorbed. So in the proximal convoluted tubule or in the PCT, proximal tubule, since we have to excrete drugs, what we are discussing? We are discussing renal excretion of drugs. How drugs are being excreted through kidneys or nephrons. So some of the drugs may be excreted, may be secreted, in fact, in the proximal convoluted tubule. In the PCT, this may be an active process. You have studied what are the different transporters. One transport mechanism is active transport, where body is utilizing its reserves or the energy, and by using that energy, these drugs are getting excreted. So you have to apply energy. Our nephrons they're applying energy, and these are this is representing your blood capillary. So from blood capillary or from the blood, they are getting into the ultrafiltrate or in the urine. They are getting eliminated in the urine by tubular secretion. So one mechanism is active tubular secretion. You can see by active tubular secretion, drugs can be eliminated in the urine. Now the second mechanism, you can see that if in the distal tubule, if the drug is lipid soluble, it is not sufficiently polar in nature, what will happen that these will be reabsorbed back into the circulation. Okay, so whatever if the drug has, if your body has actively secreted any poisonous substance which is lipid soluble with the intention that it should be eliminated from the body, without doing the metabolism, or by that time if the poisonous substance might not have been metabolized properly, and the drug has forcefully made it out of the body by active tubular secretion, what will happen that if it is lipid soluble, it will be reabsorbed back. So the basic principle or the mechanisms of renal excretion is the same. It is what it was that for the absorption, that if it is lipid soluble, it will never be eliminated from the body. It will come back. एक अगर पालतू कुत्ता रखा है ना, उसको भगाओ तो फिर घर पे आ जाएगा, डांट के भगाओ फिर वापस आ जाएगा. तो अगर लिपिड सॉल्युबल है तो from some part of the nephron it will be reabsorbed. So it has to be made polar in nature. Now coming back, so that was the portion from passive tubular reabsorption. It will be reabsorbed back. So now moving next. So what happens that the first mechanism, you know that glomerular filtration, that was the main mechanism for filtration, and certain things like certain things which we have discussed. What is unfiltered? What is not filtered in glomerular filtration? Which molecules? What kind of things not filtered? You can say that all the cells, they are not filtered, and plasma proteins, large plasma proteins like albumin, they are not filtered. They are retained in the blood. So any drug which is bound with these plasma proteins in the form of plasma protein binding, what will happen with that fraction? It will not be filtered. It will not go in urine. It will be retained in the body. So what happens that plasma protein bound drugs, they are not filtered. That means they are not eliminated. They are not excreted via urine. So here you see that only unbound fraction is filtered, or you can say if it is filtered, that means there is chance that it can be eliminated. If it is not filtered, there is no scope of elimination. So you have by that time you have understood that in distribution you have studied plasma protein binding, and you have studied that plasma protein binding of any drug makes it long acting. Why? Because it is retained in the body. It is not being metabolized. It is not being eliminated also, and it will stay in the body for longer time. Now the next mechanism apart from filtration was tubular secretion, and in the proximal convoluted tubule, many drugs which are not normally eliminated, which are having such molecular property that it is not having tendency, or if it is not being filtered by, if the drug is not being filtered by tubular filtration, and body feels that this drug has to go out from the body, the body will spare some ATP to get it secreted in the urine. Because whatever physiological functions we have in our body, that is, the nature has devised such a physiology that it will make your body fit, it will retain your body in fit condition. And any toxic metabolite or anything which is not desirable in your body, it has to go out. The body will eliminate. If there is no normal route of elimination, it will be actively secreted. So active secretion is one important mechanism of active tubular secretion, is a very important mechanism for excretion of so many drugs. And you know that, penicillin antibiotics, so they are being excreted by the mechanism of active tubular secretion. There are a lot of examples. We'll know all these things once we go through entire pharmacology. You will have all these examples. Just at this moment, we'll discuss the important mechanisms of filtration, renal excretion. So, moving next. So, in reabsorption, now one more thing. If the screen wide so that you cannot see it and listen to me. If any drug, take your example or take the example of human beings. Our urine is acidic in nature, right? And if any drug is also acidic in nature, and the drug is so what will happen after ultrafiltration? The drug will come 100% of the drug will come in ultrafiltration if the molecular size is lesser than the size of the pore of the capillaries. And if the drug is acidic in nature and our urine is also acidic, what will happen? It will not be ionized. So what will happen? The drug is not ionized. It will have a tendency of reabsorption. It will get reabsorbed. And for that, what will happen? If I want that this drug should be eliminated from the body at very fast rate, or if that drug was a poisonous agent, was a poison. If you had taken a poison due to some reason, and if the doctor wants that this poison be eliminated from your body at a very fast pace, and the nature of the poison is such that it is acidic in nature, that means if it is acidic in nature in human beings and in carnivores where the urine is also acidic, its elimination will be tough, because for elimination to happen, what will happen? The drug has to be ionized in the body, in the urine, And for that, what we can do, we can administer any drug. Say for example, we can administer sodium bicarbonate or any urinary alkalizer, which can change the pH of urine, which can increase the pH of urine from acidic to alkaline cell. So if your urine is being made alkaline, we can do it. There are so many drugs which are known as urinary alkalizers, and that will increase the pH of the urine. So in that case, what will happen? The drug, you know that the pK of the drug is acidic in nature, it is acidic, and once it will go in alkaline urine, it will have tendency for ionization. And if it is ionized, in that case, its reabsorption will be difficult, and that will favor excretion of the drug through urine. So that is one tool, but that is one technology we have devised by alkalinization of the urine. And for excretion of so many drugs or poisons, doctors prescribe those kind of urinary alkalizers so that it can be excreted out of your body. So alkalinization of urine, you see here, alkalinization of urine, it is one tool. In fact, it is one pharmacokinetic tool. By the knowledge of pharmacokinetics, we can say that how any acidic drug can be eliminated from the body if we can make the urine alkalinized. Take the other example. If in case of cattle and buffaloes, the urine is alkaline in nature, and if the drug or the poison that cattle has taken, if it is alkali in nature, if its pK value is more than 7, in that case, what will happen? We have to make, for favoring the excretion of the drug, we have to acidify the urine, vice versa. So there are certain drugs which act as urinary acidifiers also. Once you will study the systems physiology, you will be taught what are the different urinary alkalizers and urinary acidifiers. So why I discussed that reabsorption is an important mechanism, that any lipid soluble drug which is non-ionized, it will reabsorb. And once you have to, आपके पालतू कुत्तों को घर से भगाना है, तो पहले तो उसको बहुत पीटना होगा, खाना नहीं देना होगा। जब वो फील कर लेगा कि अब मेरा गुजारा यार नहीं होगा, तब चला जाएगा। तो जो लिपिड सॉल्युबल ड्रग्स हैं, जो नॉन आयोनाइज हो रहे हैं, उसको लात मार के भगाने के लिए यही करना होगा कि उसको आयोनाइज करना होगा, उसको नॉन लिपिड सॉल्युबल फॉर्म में कन्वर्ट करना होगा। अब उसके ये सारे कुछ एग्जांपल्स, टूल्स या वेज हो सकते हैं। Now, apart from that, apart from kidneys, there are certain other routes of excretion also, like as we have told that bile and feces, biliary excretion or the fecal excretion is also important route. So there are certain transporters. In fact, in your hepatocytes, in your liver cells, they are in fact they are called canalicular membrane transporters, and they secrete certain drugs into the bile. They secrete certain drugs and their metabolites in bile. Bile is being synthesized by hepatocytes, liver cells, and they're being stored somewhere, and continuously they are being released in the GI tract. That is the normal mechanism by which digestion is going on. Okay, so it is one route. अगर आपके सिटी में एक नदी बह रही हो, हमको एक जगह से दूसरे जगह जाना, तो बोट लगा के यूज कर सकते हैं उसको. That is how, when bile is normally synthesized and it is being flowing from liver to the GI tube, drugs can be shipped, drugs can be transported through medium. And if the hepatocytes or if the surrounding cells, if they can send it, they can parcel it. Now there are so many drugs which are excreted through bile, and you have studied glucuronide conjugation. That is so conjugates, glucuronide conjugates, normally they are excreted through bile. And what are conjugates? Conjugation means this is if this is the active drug, and if this is the glucuronide conjugate, what will happen? It will attach with this one. And in that case, what will happen after the conjugation? The shape of the drug, overall shape of the drug will be like this. If this was the original drug A, and if this was the gluconide conjugate GC. So drug and the gluconide conjugate. So this is the one complex has been formed. Diagram थोड़ा सा डरावना लग रहा है, लेकिन we can understand things. Now the overall molecular size of this gluconide conjugate, you can say the drug and the glucuronic acid complex, is sufficiently large. That means if the molecular size of the drug alone was such that if it can be eliminated, if it can cross from one point to another point, if the drug alone might have been passing in the bile, and if the drug is lipid soluble, if the molecular size of this drug is small enough, it will be reabsorbed in the body. But if it is passing along with glucuronic acid in the form of gluconide conjugate, the overall molecular size becomes this one, and the overall molecular size is such that it cannot be reabsorbed. It cannot be reabsorbed because its molecular size has become very big. The drug has attached with the gluconide complex. So in that way, it has to be eliminated from the feces. Now there are certain enzymes in the body, in your GI tract, a lot of enzymes in the GI tract. Some of the enzymes will cleave it, इसको अलग कर देगा, और फिर even glucuronic acid के साथ gluconide complex में GI tract में bile के through excrete भी हो जाए, इसको बाद में GI tract में आके फ्री हो जाए glucuronic acid और ये ड्रग अलग अलग डिटैच हो जाए, तो फिर क्या हो जाएगा, ये रीअब्सॉर्ब हो जाएगा. That happens. And one very important mechanism is intrahepatic cycling, recycling. What is that intrahepatic cycling? Intro means intestine, hepatic means liver. If any drug is, if your liver is excreting any drug by means of bile, and the drug is going via bile into the intestine, and from intestine, if it is getting reabsorbed, and if it is coming in the blood circulation, again from blood circulation, it will go to the liver, and then liver, what will happen? Again, it will send it back through bile to the GIT, and again it will reabsorb. So what will happen? A cycle will form, and after this cycle will continue. So in one shot, this drug could have been eliminated from the body, but due to intrahepatic recirculation, the drug is moving in the body. The drug is remaining in the body for longer time. So intrahepatic recycling, this phenomenon makes the drug long acting in the body, makes the drug to persist in the body for longer time. Are you getting my point? So there are so many drugs which are being excreted, which undergo intrahepatic recycling. Now, as a doctor, if that drug is a poison, and or if you want to break this cycle, what pharmacokinetic, from the angle of pharmacokinetics, from the knowledge of pharmacokinetics, what we can suggest, if we can devise such a form that if it is not being broken in the GIT, or in that case, it will not be reabsorbed. So we have to prevent the reabsorption by some tools, because those are the applications we won't be discussing at this moment, because this is not the scope of the syllabus. But there also some pharmacokinetic manipulation can be made, and this is, in fact, that is why we are reading pharmacology. We are reading pharmacology for the purpose of making some manipulation in the body, so that we can play with these drugs. If I want this drug to remain in the body for longer time, what kind of changes I can make with the drug or with the system? So these can be made. After 1 or 2 classes, all these things we'll discuss. Well, apart from that, there are so many other routes. Even your tears, the drug can be eliminated or excreted from the body, out of the body, by any kind of physiological fluid. Even if it is your tears, any drug can be excreted from tears. Drug can be eliminated from your saliva also. Drug can be eliminated by uterine secretions also. The drug, because from where all these secretions are coming, they are coming from the blood. They are coming from the body tissues. From where this tear is coming? Tear is having aqueous content, water content, and the surrounding tissues or the blood vessels which are having blood supply, they are in fact providing the water component. That from there that tear is being formed. So if the drug is water soluble, it will move from blood to tear and it can come. So although these are very unimportant and unconventional routes of elimination, not many drugs are excreted. Some drugs they are excreted by saliva, some are tears, some are via sweat. So we won't discuss in great detail all these routes, but you should know that these are also routes of elimination, and very lesser amount of drug they are eliminated by these routes, because the volume of these secretions, they are very less, and you can what you can say, the amount of drug which can be reabsorbed, you will log in back for 5-10 minutes more, because only 1 minute is left. I'm breaking, and again you will log in. Okay. Share the screen. So what I was discussing, that apart from kidneys and stool, apart from urine and stool, some other minor routes of elimination are there, like sweat, saliva, tears, and if you see this milk, because milk is acidic in nature, milk is acidic than plasma. If you see the pH of plasma, it is more than 7, and if you see the pH of milk, it is less than the pH of the plasma. So what is there? Some basic drugs, they have tendency, since milk is slightly acidic in nature, so some basic drugs, they have tendency to be eliminated from milk. And so apart from that, these hairs and skin, they can also act as some excretory routes. Now, okay. Now, take any example. Say, for example, there are certain poisons like selenium, and if you are living in such an area where soil is having very rich amount of selenium and arsenic and all these things, so what will happen if you are continuously drinking water which is having rich amount of arsenic, and what will happen in that case, that if you are taking continuously very traces of arsenic, your body will reabsorb those things, and that arsenic and selenium will be staying in your skin and your hairs. And from there, because these drugs, because your selenium and arsenic, these are getting bond with the disulfidyl bonds of which is present in the amino acids or proteins, sulfur containing amino acids. So these by these proteins, they are accumulated in hairs and skin, and you cannot lose your vital proteins and all vital organs, but you can shed off skin and you can shed off hairs. So in that way, you can say that hairs and skin, they can also act as some route of excretion. But the most important route you have to remember is it is the urinary route, or it is metabolized, it is excreted by nephrons, and to some extent stool or the oral excretion is there. And others are very, you have to take care if any animal is lactating, or if any, so in that case, whatever drug you are giving, it will be coming in the milk, because milk barrier is a very weak barrier. It's not very strong. Any drug, blood-brain barrier is a strong barrier, but lipid-soluble drugs can go anywhere in the body. In comparison to blood-brain barrier, this uterine barrier is a weaker barrier. This milk barrier is a weaker barrier. So whatever drugs you are taking, it will be going in the uterus. It will be going into the milk. So with these things, I'd like to we'll break this class because already we had lost some 15-20 minutes due to some technical issues. In the next class, we'll discuss the kinetics of elimination. Why we have studied pharmacokinetics. The very purpose and the applications, some very beautiful applications we'll be discussing in the next class. And after that, I'll have one test for 15-20 minutes. Can we design the test in the off hours? Because it will be 15-20 minutes Google form test. You can unmute yourself and you can reply. Or you will write in the over the WhatsApp group because your next class is time has come. So whatever questions you are having, we'll take up in the next class. Okay. Okay. Thank you.